Okay. Hi, everyone. I wanted to welcome you today. We have a very exciting comfort conversation with Alyssa Rappoport. Alyssa and I have only recently met a few months ago in Israel, and we just spent some time talking before we started recording. And I really feel like I've known her for such a long time, and she has become a good friend. We have a lot of connections, a lot of similarities in our stories, and I wanted you all to meet her today. So without further ado, I want to introduce Alyssa Rappaport. Alyssa lives in Tel Aviv, and I'm here in New Jersey. So this is always so exciting, be able to do these things from country to country. And we're going to talk a little bit later about our collaboration with NechamaComfort and Candles of Hope. And I'm going to introduce Alyssa now, and I'm going to, say hi to you. Hi, and welcome. And I'm so
Thank you.
excited.
Hi, Reva. It's nice to be here with you today.
I wish we were in person. The last time Alyssa and I were in August, we were meeting in a cafe restaurant in Tel Aviv. So Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on, for talking to us with our comfort conversations. And I want the world to meet you, because I think what you do and your work is so important. So if you don't mind, let's start off by telling us your story. How did you get involved? What made you start this organization? What is your fertility journey?
Sure. So hi, everybody. It's nice to meet you all, and thanks for joining us today. So as Reva said, I'm living in Tel Aviv. I've been here in Israel for 13 years now, originally from Australia. So I made Aliyah after my university studies, and met my partner, Ben, who's also from Australia, in Israel, funnily enough. And we unfortunately experienced a late-term pregnancy loss in our first pregnancy back in August of 2016, so 5 years ago now. I was 31 weeks pregnant, and we sort of found ourselves just in shock, alone, not really knowing what to do or how to process, what was happening. And it was a really awful, confronting, scary, overwhelming experience. I think for anyone going through that, it's really tough, but also for us, it was, going through it in a country that we didn't grow up in, and we were less sort of familiar and comfortable with the medical system. Obviously, it's not in our mother tongue. Our families also all live in Australia. So as and when it was happening, we were alone. Our families had all planned, to come and join us in Israel for the birth. In the end, they all ended up rushing over here, to be with us and comfort us through the, awful traumatic experience. But needless to say, it was a difficult time. And, after the dust settled, I sort of sought out to find some support, and really looked everywhere I could, online, websites, speaking to people, the health funds, the hospitals, trying to find a support group to join. And there was literally nothing. I couldn't find anything. The only thing I could find was in Jerusalem, run by Hadassah hospital. But that was quite far for me to travel, regularly. There was nothing in Tel Aviv, nothing near Tel Aviv. I signed up through my health fund for a waiting list to join a group when one opened. I signed up at Ichilov Hospital to join one when one opened. In the end, 9 months later, I ended up finding a group to join that was run by Maccabi, my health fund. And it was an amazing group, and it really did help me. And for me, it was really meaningful and helpful to, meet other women and connect and realize I wasn't alone in what I was going through, that everything I was feeling was normal. just to find people that understood me and what I was going through was critical. And that whole process sort of not finding the services that I felt I needed, and realizing, that there were other women out there too that needed that support, got me thinking. But the truth is that it was actually my mom that pushed me to found and establish this organization that I'm now involved in running. Candles of Hope is what we called it. And my mom, she actually passed away just over 6 months ago. But she was a real pusher and fighter. And when she saw a problem, if it couldn't be fixed, she went out and found a way to fix it. So for her, it was a very painful and traumatic experience for her too. She had waited a long time to become a grandmother, and this was meant to be her first grandchild. So obviously she was devastated, for us, but also she was devastated in and of herself. And she just said, okay, let's start an organization. There isn't one, let's start one. And in Australia, there is a national support organization. So we sort of models it off that. And my mom went out and made connections here in Israel, did research, we did the research together, but then she went out and contacted people and went to Jerusalem and met different organizations, went to all the hospitals in Tel Aviv and Kfar Saba. She really, and this is, my mom she didn't even really speak Hebrew. So it was quite incredible what she did and the connections she managed to establish. And through that, we managed to bring together a volunteer establishment board, and they're today our management board, an amazing group of people that are really driving this organization forward. These days it's even less me and more them, which is just unbelievable and amazing for me to see. And that's sort of how it started, really. We basically just are filling a gap that we saw in the market here. Unfortunately, there's a need. And, the more we spoke to people and the more connections we made, we realized, and it became apparent, really the role that needed to be filled. And we're basically an umbrella organization pulling together different services that exist but weren't really consolidated anywhere, and then filling in the gaps where things are needed. Yeah.
Now you know why I wanted everyone to meet her. So I think, you also remind me a little bit of me. And people ask me how NechamaComfort, started. And, I had the same story, and my story was 34 years ago. And yours was 13 years ago. And nothing much had changed between 34 and 13 years ago. In Israel, in the States, I think here our hospitals were offering more support and more support groups for men, for women, therapists, but it was still difficult. And only until recently that we could find therapists that specialized in pregnancy, infant loss, and support groups that went on longer than just, till your 6-week checkup. And I think that was, that's a universal issue that needs to be solved. And you did say, in Australia, there was something. We saw that in New Zealand, the Prime Minister came out and will give official leave when somebody has a loss, just like when someone has a live baby. But still things are slow, much better than before. But I think one of the reasons is that this community of families that, and when we talk about pregnancy, infant loss, it's early miscarriage through the age of 1, is that we still are made to feel shameful, and we're still made to feel that we can't talk about it. And I think it was sort of like a catch-22. Nobody was expressing really how they felt, and nothing was developing. But I think in the last 10 years, organizations like yours and the world at large has recognized this issue. And thanks to people, celebrities and athletes, people discussing their miscarriages, their stillbirths, their losses. And I think doctors and medical professionals alike are being trained. So I think that's good. But
Mm,
the need is growing. People ask me, do I find that we have more people, more clients, more people reaching out to us? And I think it's the same amount of people. There could be an increase because of medical advancement, medical
mm,
technologies, as we had mentioned. People know very exact sometimes what the outcome of their babies, uh, if they have a disease in utero or some type of complication. So there
mm,
are terminations that we just talked about. I don't like using that word, but it's the word that the medical community is using. It's a loss, it's an infant pregnancy loss. And we find out we're pregnant so much earlier. We know we're pregnant, the day before we could see it, as the commercial says. So I think that's why, and people are feeling comfortable, both women and men. I know we had discussed earlier too, we're getting a lot more men opening up about, because this happens to both partners. And
mhm.
you mentioned your mom, grandparents, and other children or future children. There's so much that can be discussed. And I want to say again how sorry I am for your loss of your child and your
Thank you.
mom.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we share
And the
that
same to you.
too.
Yeah.
We share that connection. My mom also passed away at last February. So and we'll have to do, not now because we have so much to cover, but another comfort conversation. What is the same and what is different when you're grieving for your baby and for your mom? It's a very interesting concept. So that's on the list
Indeed.
for future
Okay.
talks. But I think that your organization is amazing, and it's fulfilling a need, and it's bringing out a situation. It's bringing out something that we want to share, is that as much as our organizations are out there, there are so many people that still don't know and where to turn and who to turn to. And I think that's also what COVID did. As people said, COVID's a horrible thing, but perhaps the pandemic has introduced us to this Zoom platform and this an international platform that we're able to comfortably talk from a million miles away. So when I first was introduced to Candles of Hope, Alyssa had put something on Facebook, and 20 people within a half hour had already texted me. I reached out quickly and I said, we work with so many people, we're global now. But we want to increase, and we really want to increase our presence in Israel, because our focus is on Jewish communities, because that's sort of our niche, even though we welcome everybody. And we welcome, all Jewish people. It doesn't make a difference, how you're Jewish, what you're Jewish, and that's what's beautiful about this, because we're able to have everybody on. And even though we may have religious differences, political differences, you come on our support group and nothing's being discussed. We're one community of people trying to find the tools how to put this loss of a child into your life and to move through it. And I was so excited when we talked and when we met, and realized that our populations, our needs, what we want to do to help them are so similar. Um, the difference is the language. It's in Hebrew and English. And if we're focusing on a Jewish population, that's that was always something that I needed to figure out. It was really how, because we have many clients in Israel. We are planning to start a support group very soon that will be on Israel time. We have our support group now, Eastern Standard Time in America, but we're trying to get that support group. But it was the language. It was the language barrier. And even though, I have my Hebrew's pretty good, but not in terms of ever being able to communicate what I want to these. And I want people to be able to express themselves. But our philosophies are, that's what I said when I met you. It was like we've known each other for years. And it's really about giving these families choices and teaching them how this baby did exist, how your child existed, and how you're going to put this child into your life as your family dynamics stays the same and changes. So I'm very excited about that aspect of it, because I think that we both agree, and let me tell me your thoughts as well, that speaking to people individually and having the choice of a support group are important to offer people, because people are different and even couples are different.
Absolutely.
Have you seen an increase in men reaching out for help?
Yes, indeed. And like I was telling you earlier, there's been a recent sort of wave or trend here in Israel in really recognizing the father's experience, the male's experience. One of our board members has actually just done her PhD study on the father's experience of pregnancy loss, and recently ran a weekend retreat for men, a whole weekend just dedicated to
Wow.
helping men through the experience, which is incredible. And there's been a lot of sort of media attention and interviews, articles, again, unfortunately, all in Hebrew, but for those of you that can read Hebrew, or there's always Google Translate. So yeah, there's been a lot of recognition. And I think also, fathers are feeling maybe less ashamed to come out and speak about their deep grief and loss. I think sort of gone are the days where the attitude is like, it didn't happen to men because they weren't carrying the baby. Well, you don't have to carry the baby to feel the loss. So I think, men are feeling more comfortable in general to come out and talk about how they're feeling, and also say that they need help.
Yeah, it's
And,
big.
so they should. So yeah, we're really seeing that. And we have men reach out to us, we have women, we have extended family, everything, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah, we were discussing that earlier. We both think that's so amazing that the next generation that will experience it, unfortunately, I think will have better tools to be healthy. I always, one of our other programs that we do are trainings for medical personnel, for clergy, for communities at large. Because if you're able to help these families, then your family, your communities will be healthier, because we'll know how to interact with these people. When people make a donation, they always say to me, I hope you're going to go out of business. But while you're still in business, we want to help. And, that we all pray that pregnancy for loss doesn't exist, but we have to be realistic and know,
Exactly.
how to help these families.
Unfortunately, we're not going out of business anytime soon, are we?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why it's so important to help these people. We could share your information in Hebrew, right, on our website.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, our website is in English as well. So it's at the moment it's bilingual. It's supposed to be trilingual in Arabic as well. And I might add that part of our mission and really ethos as an organization is to address all communities in Israel. So not just the Jewish community, but also the Muslim community, the Christian community, and also the religiously unaffiliated. Just last week, we had an approach by a woman, who lives here in Israel, but she is not Jewish and doesn't actually affiliate with any formal religion, and was sort of at a loss as to how to bury her child, because she wasn't comfortable, burying them in the Keva Achim, the kind of communal grave, which is Jewish tradition here. And she had no idea what her options were. So we were able to provide her with some information and connect her to the right bodies here. So that's really important to us as well. And, we do hope, funding permitting in the future, to translate our website into Arabic and other languages.
That's great.
Yeah.
We heard, in fact, we actually had a client in, a Muslim woman that reached out to us and felt that our ways and community was so helpful to her. So, yeah, as I had said before, we're all in this together, and we all have to try to help each other. And that's, wow, amazing.
Absolutely.
So we're going to share all the information, the website, and articles when we present this comfort conversation too. So look out for that. So I just wanted to, you mentioned for a second funding. During our meeting in Israel, after we shared both of our stories and saw the similarities of them, and both of our visions and mission for organizations to help people, we realized that we were also connected. And I just want to give a shout out to the Good People Fund. Naomi Eisenberg is the director of this wonderful organization that does exactly what their name says, Good People Fund. They help to fund good people and good organizations. And Alyssa, definitely, Candles of Hope is an amazing organization. And I thank Naomi for helping NechamaComfort as well. So definitely a huge shout out to them. Which brings me to my next point. So we're very excited that Candles of Hope and NechamaComfort are going to join forces together to work with families, with communities who are experiencing early miscarriage, stillbirth, infant death, SIDS, and help them with the tools that they're going to need through their journey. And that could include individual counseling with our case managers, support groups, other resources, as you had mentioned, Alyssa, how you helped with burials. We do that as well, both really around the globe. If we don't know where to turn, then we try to find out and help that as well. To do trainings, as I said, both in English and in Hebrew, which is so exciting, and to put our resources together to really reach so many more communities. So I'm
Indeed, yeah. I really want to say that I think collaboration is so important, and it'll be our honor to work and collaborate with you because you've been doing this for a lot longer and you've so much experience, and thank you for being open to sharing that. And yeah, I think that really, as we work more together going forward, we'll be able to reach out and help more people. And that's really what it's all about, providing support to those people that unfortunately need it. So thank you.
Exactly. No, thank you. So we're hoping in the next couple of months to look out and look out for programming. And we're sharing this comfort conversation right before the holiday of Hanukkah, which is the holiday of lights, the festival of lights. So I thought it would be appropriate to speak to Alyssa about her organization. What made you come up with the name of Candles of Hope?
Yeah, it's a good question. We sort of thought on it for a long time, trying to decide on a name. Look, it's a couple of things. Candles obviously represent a number of things, and particularly in the Jewish tradition, light, hope, but also memory. And that was an important part of it. So that's sort of, and the candles obviously associated with death and passing. So that was part of it. And Candles of Hope, because we really realized that hope is such an integral part of, moving through this experience of loss. And, it's hope for many things, so it doesn't have to be a specific hope, and, not necessarily the hope of another baby, because that's not everybody's journey, but it's hope, and it's really an important element. So we wanted to tie that into the name. Yeah, that's pretty much how the name came
Beautiful.
about. But it was, yeah, it was a it was a process getting there.
I know,
But
I know.
I'm personally very happy with the name at the end of the day.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It is. The name
Thank you.
is a very important part. We have a new logo that we're gonna be launching also on in a comfort conversation. And the name, why we picked NechamaComfort. Nechama means comfort in Hebrew. So
Yeah.
that was sort of it, but there was a lot more details. I think what was interesting, I was just reading something in preparing Hanukkah. I actually teach kindergarten. I was a kindergarten teacher, and I still teach kindergarten in a Sunday school. So I was trying to explain to them. We baked challah today, and we started making a Hanukkah decoration with the menorah. And I wanted to, so I actually read something, and as I was reading it, it became so relevant to what we're doing, the NechamaComfort and Candles of Hope with the candle. So I know one of the things that we suggest as a choice to families to remember their child is to light a candle on Shabbat, to light a candle on the Sabbath. People have the tradition to light 2 candles. That's what it tells us. We're commanded to light 2 candles for the Shabbat. And people have a tradition to light a candle for their children, each child. And I know my son, Pesach, died on a Friday. Friday night, I lit a Shabbat candle. He was my only child at that time. And that tradition continues with my living children and my son. So that is a candle. And when I tell people, it's the one time a week that, I mean, I think about him every day, but especially when I was raising my 4 living children, it's the time that you stop for a moment, you light your Shabbat candles, you light your candles, bringing in the Sabbath. And I was able to speak to him, to remember him, include him in my weeks, what I was thankful for, my prayers, whatever was going on. And it was a very personal thing. And that's what the Sabbath candles are. You bring them into your home. For Hanukkah, we light the candles, they say, by the window, because we want to show the world the miracles that happen, not just the miracles of the Hanukkah story, the Maccabees one, and we had this little oil that lasted for 8 days, but the miracle of all of our people, of the Jewish people, of the world. What are the miracles that happen? And I feel like it's our own personal miracle too, and it's the education and awareness of the NechamaComfort. So I invite you to, that's something to do in terms of candles, to light your Sabbath candles, to light a candles. We also have a tradition to light a candle as a remembrance, a memorial for our child. And when you light your Hanukkah candles, it's 8 candles and then 1 tall one for the Shamash, the helper candles. Add another candle, but think about how one of those candles represent the education and awareness that we want to bring through, I think, our new collaboration of pregnancy infant loss. So I wanted to share that
Amen.
with you and with the world today. And I want to thank you for joining me today and
Thank
for
you for having
joining
me.
these 2 great organizations. And the NechamaComfort invites you to light a Hanukkah candle and share it. We're going to put the information on this post to share it if you want, with 1 line about your baby and light, and sharing that. And we could share that with the world also during Hanukkah. I invite you to do that as well, Alyssa. And I am so excited. We really, we will be sharing information on both of our websites and both of our Facebook pages for our support group. The NechamaComfort will be launching an English-speaking support group that will be on Israel time. That we invite. It'll be 1:30 in the afternoon in the States, and anywhere else that shares our same Eastern Standard Time, and it will be 8:30.
Yeah, 8:30 p.m. Israel time.
So we hope within the next month after Hanukkah to be launching that, as well as many joint programs. and Hebrew speaking group joining our hotline so you can reach us. But in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with Alyssa, you can reach her at the best way is to reach you on your website or Facebook.
Yeah, just through our website, you'll find all our details, or we have a Facebook page that is mostly in Hebrew for now, but
Okay.
you can always, contact us through Facebook as well, and we can answer you in English. The same by email. So all our details are there. candlesofhope.org.il.
We'll put that in, and you can reach Nechama Comfort as well with our hotline, 1-833-NECHAMA, and info@nechamacomfort.org. And if you need to reach either of us, Hebrew and English, we'll share our information as well. So I thank you, everybody, for listening. I thank you, Alyssa. I wish everybody an early happy Hanukkah. And I hope that everybody can find comfort in whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Reva. Bye, everybody.